Welcome to the Juggling the Chaos of Recovery podcast, where we focus on health and wellness and overcoming all types of addictions. You're in the right place if you're a mom, dad, sibling, or caregiver who has a loved one who is or was struggling with an eating disorder or any other kind of addiction. In a time where everything seems heavy, I'm here to bring you a very real, yet lighthearted take on what the heck we're all supposed to do with our lives while we care for our loved ones who are struggling. One thing holds true throughout it all. You can't juggle the chaos without smiling. At least a little bit.
Happy New Year and happy 2022. I hope you all had a great New Year's Eve and a great holiday season, if you will. I am your host, Moira Gorski, and it's just me today, and it's my typical beginning of the year conversation that I wanted to share with you. It's a conversation that I have with myself, and I think it's really important. It's a really couple of cool exercises that I do at the beginning of every year. And I think it's very important to do this for all of us. You know, this is the time for resolutions and goals and things like that. And I think that those are good. But what I really like and what you'll hear today as I talk about these couple exercises is really it's more than, you know, a transformation or like how to lose some weight. It's really about an intention for the year and being, again, very intentional about the things that you do every day, how you show up every day, and not just for the month of January, but really for the year. And you can go back and think about these things that I'm going to share with you today, revisit them, put them up on your mirror, in your car, you know, just continue to think about these things, and it'll help to take you through your new year in the new time. So there's a couple of things that I do at the beginning of every year, and I would love to hear from you as you listen to this. I'd love for you to send me a message. If it's through Instagram, you can find me there on Green Gorski. You can send me an email, moira@moiragorski.com. You're going to see my new website on the show notes, and just would love to hear from you about your exercises as well, and if you find that this is helpful. So there's two things. I pick a word of the year, and then I also do something start, stop, continue. And if you've listened to me for a while, you have heard me talk about that before. So I'll start there, and it's an exercise that you can do that is really good to think about. Just think about, like, start, stop, continue. Now, somebody also told me, another coach that I was listening to, start, stop, keep. You can call it whatever you want. But the point is, what are you going to start doing in the new year? What are you going to stop doing that hasn't served you? And what are you going to continue doing? And it's really good to think about those things. And what I thought about, you can think about it for life. You can think about it for business. You can blend the two, whatever works for you. But I just encourage you to do it. So when I thought about this year, and what I am going to start doing is that I am going to start creating a system that is solid with my business. You know, if you've listened to me for a while, I have a wellness business, and I've been in this business for a long time, 21 years, and I do have some systems, and I keep talking about creating a stronger system, just some more things in place. Because as things get busy, I need to have that solid system to onboard my people, to talk with prospects, people that are interested, you know, what to send them, where's the email, what's the next step, what's the follow-up. And again, I have a few things here and there, and it's like, come on, Moira, just start doing that, like get it done. And so that is definitely what I'm going to start in the month of January, and it's gonna be done in the month of January. I'm committing myself to that. So that's definitely something that I'm going to start. But just on a little side note and kind of a life note, I am going to start volunteering at Cat Shelter. My youngest son's girlfriend, volunteers at a cat shelter here. And before COVID hit, I was volunteering at a horse farm to go and muck the stalls and clean the horses. And I was also going once a week to an animal shelter here and helping to let the dogs out in the morning and do some socialization. And both of those have kind of changed what they're allowing. And so I'm not doing that. And I love animals and I love cats, some cats, and we can't have a cat here because my husband's pretty allergic, although we did foster a little kitty for a while, and it was so fun in the fall. So I talked to Pauline about, with my son being gone in boot camp and then on to his service in the Air Force, it would just feel really nice to connect with Pauline in that way and going to the cat shelter. So I'm finishing up a little orientation and I'm going to start doing that on a weekly basis, and we'll probably go together, and it's just a cool way for us to stay connected. Tommy, Pauline, and I went there when he was home a couple of times and it was fun. So I'm going to start doing that with her. And then I'm going to stop. What I am going to stop is stop taking myself off course and pulling myself down and stop listening to those, red light stories. I've talked about those before. I am just going to stop doing that. Now, I can't say one time, okay, I'm done with that, but I am going to stop consciously pulling myself off track and just being aware of that, because I don't know about you, but, things are going along and then these doubts and these red light stories come up in my head and it just pulls me off track, and I don't like it because all of a sudden I'll realize that maybe what happened here? Why am I not feeling good? Why am I not doing the things that I want to do? Why am I not being consistent in my business and my life and things like that? And I believe that it is partly because I pull myself off track and that belief goes down and that doubt raises up. And so I'm going to stop doing that for this year. And I'm going to continue to trust the universe and the plans and the flow of what's happening. Again, if you've been following me since the beginning of this, I started this podcast as a labor of love, as a way to share my story and share other people's stories, to make sure that I just wanted people to know that there was hope, that things could be different, and there is recovery, and there's the reality of loving those around you who are struggling and still taking care of yourself. And it has been a beautiful journey of 135 some episodes. And not only my podcast, but just, specifically my podcast for sure, I keep meeting awesome people, and people keep getting referred to me that my friends think would be a good guest, and they are. And I just think it's so neat because I could be like, oh, I got to find these people and be so trying to control it all. And I'm not doing that. I'm just going with the flow of what the universe and the God that I understand is sending me. And it's really awesome. And really, I'm doing that more in my life. And I want to continue to do that because with my life, my business, my family, it has been a surrender. It's been a taking my hands off the steering wheel type of experience the last couple of years. And it's been beautiful. It has really been beautiful. And I encourage you to think about that. If you're anything like me, I'm a bit of a control person. And I know that I've gotten better about that over the years, but I still like to know how things are going to be and what type of pattern, what's going to happen and things like that. And when I grab on too tight, it just doesn't, it feels like too much pressure and too much push and, and it doesn't, things don't flow as well. And so when I do let go, when I surrender, when I take a deep breath and I say, I don't know, I'm just going to go with this, beautiful things have happened. I have met beautiful people. Energies have shifted in my house. Just things have been beautiful. And again, not in the timing necessarily that I expected, but it's been beautiful. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to trust the universe, trust that the plans, and continue to be grateful for what I do have and what is happening in my life. I have found that you've heard me talk about journaling before. This year I picked up a journal called I Choose Joy, which is by Danelle Delgado. Shaklee, the company that I work with, has sponsored some training with her. And she has 4 G's that she talks about, and I've recorded about that before when I talked about gratitude, so you can look back on one of those episodes. But she talks about 10 things every day that we're grateful for. Write those down. Write them down. Start with that. Continue with that. That's what I'm going to continue with because that intentional gratitude is really something. When you would think, oh, 10, you can just whip that off. But sometimes I really have to think, like, what am I grateful for? And am I going to write the same things that I said yesterday? Let's write something different. And just being grateful for, like, it is super cold here in Chicago. And every morning I wake up, I am so thankful that I have a warm house. Now, the other day it wasn't so warm, so we had to call the heating and air conditioning guy, and he had to do some fixing. But I am so thankful that we have a lovely home that's warm and secure and that provides me shelter. And I put that down almost every day in my gratitude journal because I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my dogs, even though sometimes they're a pain. I love the companionship of a dog. So I'm going to continue to do that, gratitude. And so those are my 3: start, stop, and continue. So I'm going to start creating a system that's solid. And I'm going to stop pulling myself off track and letting fear lead the way. And I am going to continue to trust the universe, trust the flow, and trust that beautiful practice of gratitude. And so what are you thinking about? Take the time to do that. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you to reach out, put a note in our Juggling the Chaos of Recovery tribe on Facebook. And if you're not part of that, go ahead and search that out. I'd love to add you there. And I just love to hear from you because I love to have these connections and hear what other people are working on for the new year. And so that's one exercise that I do. And then the second one is that I choose a word of the year. Now, you've heard me talk about before that I used to be part of a circle, and we talked about more of an intention for the year. And so that was something that I did for a few years, and I still think about that. But this year I decided to choose one word. And I've been working on that because the first couple of ones I don't think was right. But before, what I did, and I think this is a beautiful exercise, is that I'm the possibility of. Again, this is a little bit longer type of thing, but like I created that intention that I'm the possibility of courage. And it kind of goes along with that continuing to trust the flow of the universe, because mine last year was I am the possibility of no, I think it was different. Anyway, this is one that I chose for a couple of years. I am the possibility of courage. And like courage to sit in that uncertainty of like, I don't have as much control over things and I'm just going to go with the flow. And so that's what I chose one year. I'm the possibility of courage. And then I put away the story that things will never get better. For a while, there's been so much struggle here. And it's like, does it always have to be struggle? Does it always have to be struggle? And sometimes I had that thought that it's really never going to get better. And so I put that story away. So that's, again, something that you can stop, put away. And I encourage you, that's also another really cool exercise to do. And then, but for this year, again, I chose a word. And I've chosen choice. I've chosen authenticity. And this year I started to choose belief. Belief is a huge thing for me. You'll probably hear that in, again, what I said before, believing that I am enough and I'm okay, and believing in the universe. And I thought about that, and then I thought about action because, again, got to make that plan, make sure I get into action. And I love both of those words, but action sounded too much like a push. And sometimes, again, like I said, it's too much to be pushing and trying to control things. So I was like, no, action doesn't sound good. And then I was working with a gal that I go to once a month for a Reiki energy tune-up, if you will. And we were talking about it, and she said, how about ease? And I said, oh, I love that. It totally resonates with me. That my word of the year is ease or easy. I want to choose things that feel like they're coming with ease. Again, like I said about that flow and continue to trust the flow. I want it to be easy. I want there to be ease. I just finished a book called The War of Art, and it talks about resistance. And check that book out if you haven't read it. It's a short little chapter book, and it really made me think. But it made me think a lot about resistance. And like when you run up against resistance, like, what is that all about? And do we need to resist that? And what is that resistance telling us about us? And all those kind of things. I mean, it's a fascinating book. And it's like, I don't want to resist. I don't want that resistance. It doesn't feel good. Like, I want things to be easy and not like surrender, give up. I'm not even going to care, but just ease. Like when I get introduced to somebody, or when I'm starting to go someplace or read something or make a decision about something that I want to do or somebody that I can help. Like, does it feel good? Does it feel easy? Is there ease there? And that's my word of the year. That's what I want, because again, it kind of encompasses that other exercise that I just told you about, of just giving up that, just stopping to all those nasty things and that resistance that I run into in my head, and just trusting that and living a life of ease. And, a life of ease is filled with love and compassion and just, again, feeling good. And that is what I am going for this year. I want to take that on for myself so that that's conveyed to others that I'm with and others that I'm around. I want to convey that feeling of when somebody decides to work with me, or I can help them, or I'm doing something with some friends, that it feels good. The energy is positive. The energy is easy. That's my word of the year, is ease. And so what's your word of the year? What have you thought about for this year? Do you ever do that? Last year, I went through an exercise that I chose a word for every month, which was okay, but I've come back to this word of the year, and something that's an overarching, thought, feeling for the year. And I love that. And so I really, again, encourage you to do that. And I'd love to hear what you choose for your word of the year as well. And that's it. That's what I wanted to share today. And just finish up by saying, again, I'm very grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for this audience. I'm grateful for this microphone that I can share all of these experiences with you. And I'm grateful for those of you that reach out to tell me how wonderful and impactful these words are. It's very humbling, and I'm very blessed to be able to have the opportunity to do that. And so as you go into the new year, if you're wondering about these things and you're not sure, pick up a journal. Pick up one of my journals. There's always a link in the show notes. You can go to my new website, which is moiragorsky.com, and you can find a link to the podcast. You can find a link to my journal. Pick up a journal. It's a really simple starter journal, one of my friends told me, and you can write these things down. Think about it. Somebody asked me the other day, do you just write about all your life in your journal? I'm like, not really. Sometimes, this is from my journal. My journal is open in front of me because I did this exercise one morning. I'm like, okay, what am I going to start, stop, and continue? And so I processed through it. I wrote some things out. I came to these things by writing and journaling. And so pick up the journal. I encourage you to, if you haven't started to journal, perhaps do that as your start for this year. Start journaling. Don't put the pressure on you that it has to be some beautiful work of art. Just start to do it, because I'm telling you that journaling can change your life. It's like therapy for free. It's really just a place to open up your thoughts, start writing, and really come to some realizations of things. And it's kind of your little sacred place, just you in the journal, in the pen. And it's a wonderful place to be, where you can really do a lot of self-discovery. You can put your intentions down. You can put your prayers down and your thoughts. And I encourage you to do that. So I wish each and every one of you a great 2022. Let's get through all of this craziness that continues to happen. But just stay above that. Stay above in a great vibration of positivity, love, ease, and flow. And I believe that we can all make the world a better place and share that hope with everyone else around us. So thanks again for coming back to listen. I do greatly appreciate it. Reviews are wonderful. Sharing this podcast with others is wonderful. That is how I can continue to get the word out and continue to bless all of you with these beautiful interviews, these beautiful conversations that I'm able to have. And it takes time, it takes money. And so having things shared out with other people really helps. You can buy me a cup of coffee. You can see that link in the show notes too. You can support the podcast in lots of different ways. Buy that journal, buy a few journals. And again, share with me what your takeaway from all of this is, because I love to hear from you. Have a great 2022. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, head over to iTunes and leave me a 5-star review. Share it with others, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. so you don't miss a thing. I've got a tribe over on Facebook, so head over there and search for Juggling the Chaos of Recovery Podcast Tribe. And do you know somebody who has a story to share, a story of recovery and hope? Please let me know, as I'd love to feature them as a guest on one of these next upcoming podcasts. And perhaps you're looking for a community of like-minded, collaborative, and supportive people who cheer each other on as we strive to improve our lives. If that sounds like something you've been looking for, schedule some time with me. You'll find the links in the show notes. Let's talk, and let me help you find your way. And I'm here to tell you that you're worth it.